I'm just coming on here real quick because I don't care who you are, who you think you are, but telling someone they're a moron and they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to NASCAR and all this stuff is not okay. It's all coming from probably like a teenager. I've probably been around the sport or been a fan of the sport longer than you've been alive. So coming at me, calling me a hypocrite and a moron, it's just making you look like a troll and an asshole. So I don't understand why people think it's okay just to follow me, just to say stupid shit and think words don't hurt. They do. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos about bullying and stuff like that, I've been bullied, cyberbullied, all kinds of bullied. You name it, I've been bullied in every aspect of the word. So, never been physically bullied, but I've been like verbally bullied and emotionally bullied by people who shouldn't be worth my time, but it affects me. Even when people are like, don't even let that get to you. I'm like, don't realize that words hurt. And people who say hurtful things are hurt people, but that's not an excuse to say hurtful things to people when you have no idea what they're going through. And it's just not okay. It's not an excuse to be an asshole. For someone who has been dealing with like being bullied and having depression, anxiety, and all that, it's hard to deal with. So to that troll, stop being a child and think before you speak. I've literally probably most likely have been a fan of this sport longer than you have, so I know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not a moron. So I'll just leave it at that. And in response to my last video of talking about fans being lazy, I'm still in defense of that. Fans are lazy these days. And the person who commented about my comment, like towards people not going to races and stuff like that, you don't have to be like super close to racetracks and be around racetracks to go to them. If you have the financial means to go to a race, go to a race. But don't make the excuse of a hotel being expensive. You don't have to stay in a hotel. Like, camp out, take a sleeping bag, do whatever. It doesn't have to be like this over the top excursion. Just go for like an overnight thing. Take some beer, take some soda, water, whatever, and just go enjoy a race. If you don't have the financial means to do it, then then I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who actually have the financial means to actually go to a race, but are just making excuses not to go. Yes, I may live near a racetrack, but that was not always the case when I was growing up. My very first NASCAR race, I didn't go to until I was about 15 years old, like close to 15. I was like 14, 15 years old. And my closest racetrack was an hour and a half away in Fontana. And I went to that track twice because I can't go to the racetrack every single time they go there. So being near a racetrack makes me, yes, more accessible to go. And ISM it's really not expensive. It's really not. The tickets are pretty dang cheap. Like, no matter where you sit, it's pretty dang cheap. You can sit on like the hill and watch the race. You can camp, like be in the infield and camp out, whatever. Like, you don't have to be in a hotel or any like to go enjoy a race or a camper or whatever. You don't need thousands of dollars to go to a friggin' race. You need like what, $100 maybe, $100, $200. That's to go like for food and drinks and a ticket and just go enjoy a race. Don't make it like it has to be some big production to go. Like if you live a few hours away, then just make a day out of it. Go to the track and then go home. It's not. People are just making excuses not to go. And then they claim that they want more short track racing, but don't go. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to rub in people's faces that I live like 10, 15 minutes from a racetrack and can go whenever I feel like it, but I don't realize I have to plan ahead too and save up and all this. When even though it is pretty like cheap to go to ISM, I'm not saying like cheap like but like pretty it's like affordable to go, but I still have to plan ahead because I have other bills to pay. I have things I have to take care of. So it's all just about planning ahead, not just like if it's on a whim and you live right there by the track, then go ahead. If you have to plan ahead, then do that. Don't make excuses. If you have the money to extra money to go to these races, go to the races. It's like if it's like a couple hours away, then what is the problem? If you have any way to get there, then that's a reason you can't go. But for people who can have a car, the financial needs to do so, go to a race and stop complaining about the stands being empty when you're not there. Buy a ticket and go sit your ass in the seat. The people of like Bristol, if you don't live near Bristol, then I don't know what to tell you. Like I live nowhere near Bristol, so I can't. I'm not complaining about the seats and the stuff like that because I'm not there. For the people who are there, are allowed to say something about the lack of attendance, but the people who aren't there and live like maybe 20, 30 minutes away from the track can't say shit. So I'm not trying to be rude in my last video, but you don't have to live right near the track to go to the race, but come on. It's really not that hard just to go to a race. It's not a big production. Like, yes, I am blessed to be able to live about 20 minutes from a racetrack and go both times each year, but I do plan ahead in advance because, like I said before, I work a lot, so I have to plan ahead for that time off, and I have to plan ahead to have some spending money for like merch and food and drinks, whatever. So I'm just saying, stop being lazy. Don't make excuses. If you are complaining about the attendance, get a ticket and go to a race. It's not hard. It's really not. Depending on the track you go to, it's like there should be no excuse. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna bullshit with people and protect y'all's feelings. But it's the sport. The sport we all should love, and complaining about the attendance is just obnoxious if you are not there. So end of story. I'm done talking about it for right now because I have to go to work. So I will talk to you guys later.